What if everything you know about life is only preparing you for death? And what if death is not the end at all, but the beginning of something far more real? This is not just a book. This is not just another spiritual teaching. This is a radical invitation to confront the ultimate taboo, death itself, and discover the unshakable truth that lies beyond it. In these 40 profound discourses, Osho doesn't hand you answers. He shatters your illusions. He peels away the masks of religion, morality, identity, and even logic, until nothing is left but your raw, naked consciousness. The deathless essence that was never born and can never die. In this series, we will dive into paradoxes that will disturb you, stories that will awaken you, and truths that may feel like lies until your soul begins to remember. You will meet the enlightened master who lies out of compassion. You will explore what it means to die before you die. You will see how meditation is not just a technique, but a resurrection. And slowly, chapter by chapter, Osho will guide you to a place where death becomes irrelevant. So if you're ready to drop everything you think you are, to surrender into the unknown, and to awaken into a life that has no fear of death, then walk with us. This is Death to Deathlessness, and your transformation begins now. Chapter 1, The Man of Compassion Has to Lie. What if I told you that the greatest act of love might require a lie? Not the kind of lie that deceives or manipulates, but one that leads to liberation. Imagine a lie so powerful that it cuts through the noise of illusion, reaching directly into the heart of truth. It's unsettling, isn't it? The idea that truth, the purest of virtues, might sometimes need to wear the mask of falsehood. But that's the paradox we're exploring today. Welcome to Chapter 1 of Death to Deathlessness. In his profound introduction to Osho's teachings, we'll uncover one of his most provocative statements. The man of compassion has to lie. This isn't a call to deception, but a challenge to rethink our rigid ideas about morality and truth. Could it be that compassion, in its highest form, transcends the rules we've been taught to follow? Before you dismiss this as absurd, let's pause for a moment. Have you ever told a child that a monster lives under their bed just to keep them from sneaking out at night? Or assured someone that things would be okay, even when you weren't sure yourself? These lies, born of love, served a purpose, didn't they? So, could a lie, when wielded with wisdom, become the key to awakening? Stick with me, because the answers will surprise you. Section 1. The nature of enlightenment in words. Enlightenment, as Osho describes it, is not a concept to be understood. It's an experience to be lived. It's a state of profound silence, where thought and language cease to exist. In this state, the boundaries of self dissolve, and all that remains is the infinite. But here's the challenge. How do you communicate something that cannot be spoken? How do you describe the indescribable? Imagine trying to capture the majesty of the Grand Canyon in a photograph. No matter how stunning the image, it's only a shadow of the real thing. The depth, the scale, the way the sunlight dances on the rock, these things can't be contained in a two-dimensional frame. Similarly, words, no matter how eloquent, can never fully encapsulate the vastness of enlightenment. Osho takes this a step further, asserting that the moment you attempt to express truth, it becomes a lie. Why? Because words are inherently limited. They divide, categorize, and simplify a reality that is infinite and indivisible. Enlightenment, on the other hand, is whole and boundless. The act of verbalizing it reduces its essence, turning it into something it is not. This is the dilemma faced by the enlightened ones. They see the truth, but they know that simply stating it won't suffice. Most people, entrenched in their illusions, won't understand. So, out of compassion, they use words and metaphors, and sometimes even lies, to guide others toward the truth. These lies aren't meant to deceive, but to awaken. They're like training wheels on a bicycle, necessary only until the rider finds their balance. Think of it like this. If a map is your only guide to a treasure, does it matter if the map is perfectly accurate? No. What matters is that it leads you to the treasure. The lies of the compassionate are like that map, imperfect but invaluable in leading us toward enlightenment. Section 2. The Burning House. Nowhere is this idea better illustrated than in the story of the burning house. Imagine this. A father returns home to find his house engulfed in flames. Inside, his children are playing, completely unaware of the danger. Panicked, he shouts, "The house is on fire, come out now!" But the children, mesmerized by the flickering flames, don't move. To them, the fire is a source of fascination, not fear. Desperate, the father changes his approach. "I've brought you new toys," he calls. The promise of toys grabs their attention. The children abandon the fire and rush outside to safety. Later, when they realize there were no toys, they confront their father. "Why did you lie to us?" they ask. The father replies, "If I hadn't lied, you wouldn't have come out. The lie saved your lives." Osho uses this story to explain the human condition. Like those children, we are captivated by the flames of our own illusions, wealth, status, power, and fleeting pleasures. We chase after these things, unaware of the suffering they bring. The enlightened see this danger, but their warnings often go unheard. So, like the father, they use lies as a bridge to lead us out of the burning house of illusion. Now, let me ask you, was the father's lie wrong, or was it an act of ultimate love? This question challenges us to rethink our rigid notions of morality. Sometimes, the intention behind an action matters more than the action itself. Here's the kicker. The flames we're playing with aren't just metaphorical. They're the fires of desire, attachment, and fear. And unless we wake up, they will consume us. The man of compassion sees this and acts, even if it means breaking the rules we've been taught to follow. Section 3. Compassion beyond morality. Compassion, Osho explains, isn't bound by the rules of conventional morality. It operates on a higher plane where the awakening of consciousness is the ultimate goal. In this realm, the distinction between right and wrong becomes secondary to the urgency of liberation. Imagine a lifeguard rescuing a drowning person. Does it matter if the rope they throw is pristine or frayed? Of course not. The priority is saving a life, not adhering to superficial standards. Compassion works in the same way. It uses whatever tools are necessary to guide others toward awakening, even if those tools appear unconventional. Take another example, a doctor treating a critically ill patient. The patient, terrified of needles, refuses an injection that could save their life. The doctor, understanding the stakes, administers the medicine covertly. On the surface, this act might seem deceptive. But when viewed through the lens of compassion, it becomes clear. The lie was an act of care, not betrayal. The lies of the compassionate are similar. They're not designed to mislead, but to illuminate. Yet, because these methods defy societal norms, they are often misunderstood. When Osho said, "The man of compassion has to lie," many criticized him. They accused him of manipulation. But as Osho himself explained, "I am not here to please the world, I'm here to wake you up." This approach isn't about abandoning morality, it's about transcending it. Compassion operates in the gray areas, where rigid rules give way to the fluidity of love and understanding. It's not about following a code, it's about serving the highest good. Let me leave you with this thought. Is a lie still a lie if it leads to the truth? And if not, what does that say about the nature of morality itself? Section 4. Hostility as the path to awakening. Compassion often invites resistance and even hostility. Why? Because it disrupts the comfortable illusions we cling to. Osho embraces this dynamic, remarking, "If the outside world gets disturbed, so far so good." Hostility, he explains, is not a barrier, it's an opportunity. Resistance signifies engagement. When people react with anger or opposition, it shows that they are grappling with an idea. This struggle, though uncomfortable, is the first step toward transformation. Even enmity creates a connection, a crack in the wall of indifference. Hostility, in this context, is an invitation to examine one's beliefs. Osho's teachings provoke precisely because they demand introspection. His bold statements and unconventional methods are designed to shake people out of complacency. By stirring the waters of the mind, he opens the door to self-awareness and growth. Take, for instance, the story of Angulimal, a bandit whose very name evoked fear. Angulimal had pledged to take 1,000 lives to honor a dark vow, and by the time he encountered Buddha, he was one victim short of fulfilling it. Travelers avoided the roads near his domain, and his presence was a shadow that loomed over entire villages. When Buddha decided to walk into Angulimal's territory, his disciples were horrified. They pleaded with him to take another route, but Buddha, calm and resolute, replied, "If I do not go to him, who will?" As Buddha approached, Angulimal shouted, "Stop right there, monk, or I will kill you." Without breaking stride, Buddha replied, "I have already stopped. It is you who are still moving." Confused by this cryptic response, Angulimal demanded an explanation. Buddha's serene demeanor and fearless gaze pierced through Angulimal's fury. For the first time, the bandit's mind was still enough to question his path. Their conversation, filled with compassion and profound insights, transformed Angulimal. He abandoned his violent ways, laying down his weapon and becoming one of Buddha's most devoted disciples. What changed Angulimal? It wasn't fear or force, but the sheer power of Buddha's compassion. A compassion so vast that it could embrace even a man like Angulimal. This story reveals that hostility, when met with understanding, can be the first step toward awakening. Section 5. Compassion as transformative power. Compassion is like water flowing over stone. It does not resist. It absorbs and transforms. Hostility, by contrast, is like a storm, fierce but fleeting. The man of compassion, like the mountain, endures. The storm may rage, but it cannot move him. When faced with hostility, the man of compassion does not retaliate. Instead, he reflects the hostility back, allowing the individual to see their own turmoil. This act of reflection is not about judgment, but awareness. It holds up a mirror, showing people the truth of their own actions. Let's deepen this idea. Imagine someone shouting in a valley. Their voice echoes back to them unaltered. The valley doesn't judge or modify the sound. It simply reflects it. The man of compassion functions in the same way. By remaining still and non-reactive, he allows others to hear their own echoes. This mirroring can be transformative, creating space for self-realization. Osho reminds us that compassion is not weakness. It is immense strength. It takes courage to face hostility with love, to resist the impulse to retaliate, and to remain grounded in understanding. But in doing so, the man of compassion plants the seeds of transformation, even in the most hardened hearts. Section 6. Speaking the language of illusion. Why does the man of compassion lie? Because the sleeping mind understands only lies. To reach someone lost in illusion, you must first meet them where they are. This often means engaging with the very illusions you seek to dismantle. Imagine a dreamer trapped in a nightmare. If you shake them awake too abruptly, they might resist, mistaking you for part of the dream. Instead, you must enter their dream gently, speaking their language until they trust you enough to wake up. This is the art of compassionate communication. Osho uses a striking metaphor to illustrate this point. He compares humanity to children playing in the dark. To guide them toward the light, you cannot simply shout from the other side. You must walk into the darkness with them, holding their hand, speaking in words they can understand. Only then can you lead them out. The lies of the compassionate are not falsehoods in the conventional sense. They are tools, like ladders. Once the seeker has climbed high enough to see the truth for themselves, the ladder is no longer needed. In this way, the lie serves its purpose and is discarded. Consider this. Is a map still a lie if it leads you to your destination? The compassionate lie functions in much the same way. It may not depict the full truth, but it points you in the right direction. Section 7. The dance between truth and illusion. Compassion is not static. It is a dynamic interplay of truth and illusion. Like a masterful dancer, the man of compassion moves fluidly between these realms, always adapting to the needs of the seeker. Sometimes he reveals. Sometimes he conceals. His actions are guided not by rules, but by love. Think of a symphony. The pauses between notes are just as important as the notes themselves. Without the silences, the music would lose its rhythm and meaning. Similarly, the lies of compassion are the pauses that give context to truth. They create space for understanding to blossom. Osho explains that truth, when wielded without compassion, can become a weapon. It can wound rather than heal. This is why the enlightened are so careful in how they share truth. They're not concerned with being right, but with being effective. Their goal is not to win arguments, but to awaken hearts. This delicate dance between truth and illusion requires immense skill and sensitivity. The man of compassion must read the needs of each individual, tailoring his approach to their unique circumstances. Like a sculptor chipping away at stone, he reveals the seeker's inner essence, one gentle strike at a time. Section 8. A Master's Method. Let's delve into another story. In a quiet village, a revered Zen master was known for his unconventional teaching methods. One day, a frustrated student approached him saying, "Master, I have been here for years, but you have taught me nothing." The master handed the student a sieve and instructed him to fetch water from the river. The student, confused but obedient, tried. Of course, the water flowed through the sieve. He returned empty-handed, But the master simply smiled and said, "Try again." Day after day, the student repeated the task. Slowly, his frustration gave way to stillness. In the emptiness of his mind, he began to understand. The exercise wasn't about success. It was about surrender. The sieve, the task, the apparent absurdity, all were lies. Yet, they led to a profound truth. This story captures the essence of compassionate lies. They are not meant to confuse, but to awaken. By engaging the seeker's mind and senses, they create openings for deeper understanding. Conclusion: the lies that liberate. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the paradox we've explored. A compassionate lie is not a betrayal, it is a gift. It is a bridge between illusion and reality, a tool wielded with love and precision. What illusions are you clinging to? What truths are you resisting? Perhaps it's time to step out of the burning house and into the fresh air of reality. If this message resonated with you, share it. Let's continue this journey through death to deathlessness, uncovering deeper truths and shattering the illusions that keep us bound.